Hey guys, it's Sophia, and today I'm super excited because I'm going to be showing you 7 different books that I've read throughout the summer, and I'm going to review them for you and let you know which ones you should read, which ones you might not really want to read, and I'm going to be rating them out of 5 stars, 1 of course being the worst and 5 being the best book I've ever read. It's pretty hard to get a 5, but there might be one in here. Who knows? So this first book, or I guess 2 books, are part of a trilogy which got made into a series that got pretty popular on Amazon Prime this past summer, which, if you haven't guessed, is the Summer I Turned Pretty book series. So this past summer was not the first time I read this book. I think I read it maybe 2 or 3 years before this, which is when the To All the Boys movies were coming out and were pretty popular, so I really wanted to read those books, and then I got into this one. And I wanted to read this one again so I could notice the differences between the series and, well, the first book. And also because I honestly didn't really remember this book. I just remembered that I honestly didn't like it that much. I ended up reading it again to see if I would change my mind about it. But honestly, I don't really like this book that much. It was kind of hard to get through for me, even though it's only, let's see, less than 300 pages, about 276. Pretty hard to get through this book, at least. I just feel like there wasn't enough romance in it. Didn't really feel connected to the characters. I honestly didn't feel like the Conrad and Jeremiah love triangle was that big of a deal. Honestly, I didn't even realize, even after reading the book and watching the series, I honestly didn't realize that people actually saw Conrad and Jeremiah as a love triangle with Belly, because I just thought that it was so Conrad from the start that it just didn't, that thought never crossed my mind, let's just say that. So the fact that there was even a love triangle was strange to me. Didn't really love this first book. I felt like there wasn't enough romance. Maybe it was just because she wanted us to really get to know the characters first before she did anything. But again, I didn't really feel that connected to them, and I kind of rate this book a 2 out of 5. You somehow don't know about the Summer I Turned Pretty book. The first book is about Belly and how she always travels to Cousin's Beach every single summer. And this takes place during the summer of her end of sophomore year and her as a rising junior, so that summer in between. Her entire life she's always loved Conrad, but this summer she sort of starts spending more time with Jeremiah and sort of taking an interest in him, as well as an interest in a guy named Cam, who she reunites with after Model UN, I want to say. Is it Model UN? No. After like a Latin convention or something that they did years ago, and so they kind of reconnect and rekindle their relationship. So essentially this book is a love square almost between Belly, Conrad, Cam, and Jeremiah. The mystery is just who she's gonna pick out of the 3 of them. I'll put up a picture here, but I also read It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han as well, and I read that one online. I don't have the physical copy. I definitely liked the second book far more than the first one. I felt like it was more interesting, and I started feeling more of a connection within the characters. I'm personally a Team Conrad person through and through. It's Not Summer Without You is the follow-up book to The Summer I Turned Pretty, where essentially Conrad mysteriously disappears and Belly and Jeremiah don't know where he is. So they have to go on this mini adventure to go looking for him. And again, it's another love triangle situation between Conrad, Jeremiah, and Belly. And she's still having some trouble deciding which one she likes more and which one she wants to be with, because they both do some questionable things to her that confuses her. That book I would give about 3.5 stars, because the ending didn't feel complete to me. I honestly didn't even realize that the book was over. I thought that because I was reading it online that they just didn't finish the entire book. Like they just left out the ending part. Turns out that was the end. There was book 3. I understand that they were probably trying to make room for another book. I get that. Finally, the 3rd book of the series is We'll Always Have Summer. And again, well, actually no, this one's a little bit different. Mini spoiler if you haven't read the first 2. Warning here. Belly and Jeremiah end up becoming a couple, and he asks her a very important question after he does a questionable thing that should not have been done. And the rest of the book just follows some type of party planning is what I'll tell you. And again, it's another love triangle with Belly and Conrad. And Belly, if you haven't guessed it yet, where again, she's trying to figure out where her feelings lie, who she should stay committed to, who loves her, who doesn't. Essentially, that's what's going on. This one, however, I give her 4 out of 5. I really liked her. This was absolutely the best book out of the series. It was the most entertaining, the most events that occurred throughout the book, and it definitely felt completed. I really liked this one. The 4th book that I have for you guys is actually part of another trilogy. However, I have not read the 3rd one yet. The 1st book is called The Inheritance Games, which is by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This book is about a girl named Avery Kylie Grams, and she's living a regular lifestyle just like you and me, except she doesn't have a lot of money, and her mom tragically passed away, so she was left in the custody of her half-sister Libby. The entire Hawthorne family is there, as well as Avery Grams, who has no idea why she's there, what she's doing there. They're not family that she knows of. She has no idea who they even are. When she gets to the mansion, there ends up being 4 brothers who become critical to the entire trilogy. Their names are Jameson Hawthorne, Xander Hawthorne, Grayson Hawthorne, and Nash Hawthorne. And the entire family is given their own individual letter from Tobias Hawthorne, who is the grandfather that ended up passing. In the letter, Avery finds out that the man who passed, Tobias Hawthorne, died and gave her essentially everything, minus a couple small-scale things in comparison to what she is receiving, which is the entire mansion. She's owning everything. The multi-billion-dollar empire is now hers, and she has no idea why, which is part of the mystery of it all. And her and the 4 brothers go on a mission to figure out why she's getting this money, who she is she linked to the family, is she part of the family, is she just some random person that he chose. Essentially trying to get to the bottom of it. This book is a mystery, a slight hint of romance in it, but very little, more so just hints of it. It's mainly mysteries, and yeah, throughout the book we're just going through different riddles and trying to figure out different clues that Tobias Hawthorne might have left her, and it's pretty fun to try to link things to other things and try to pinpoint what happened where and what connects to what. So if you're a big mystery person, I really like this book. I give this book a 4 to 5 stars. If you're really into mystery, I would really recommend this book. The 2nd book is called The Hawthorne Legacy, where we're still on the same adventure with Avery Grams. However, this time they're trying to figure out who her father is, if the person who says that her father is really her father, or if it's somebody else linked to the family, and again, her trying to figure out if she's part of the family. She's sort of getting her footing into being part of the Hawthorne universe, let's say, because she's been here at least a month, I believe, by this point. They're still trying to figure out that dang clue. That man was crazy. Solving the mystery of her birth as well. I give this book, I would say the same, about 4 stars. The next book I read is called What's Not to Love by Emily Wibberley and Alston. I'm not gonna try to say his name because I'm gonna butcher it. This book is about a girl named Allison Sanger and Ethan Malloy, who are super competitive people. They are both in the most rigorous classes, taking all the AP classes that they possibly can in the best clubs they can be, both trying to make their way into Harvard while simultaneously being enemies and trying to pull like pranks and tricks on each other and trying to get each other to stumble so that they will be the valedictorian of the school. As most romance books do, they end up finding out that they like each other. I read the synopsis. I was super excited for this book. I was super ready for some enemies to lovers. However, it was a little too enemies before lovers. I don't know, it just seemed like they really hated each other, that it was a little weird by the time that they got together. Truly, I think they didn't get together till maybe page 300 or something. Let me check. Out of almost not even 400 pages. It really felt like it was dragging the entire time. I was honestly really bored. I was really waiting to get to the romance, and it was just taking too long. They were far too competitive. It just didn't make sense, honestly, for them to be together. It was kind of weird. I don't know. I just really didn't like this book, and I really tried hard to like it. But alas, if I could give it a 0, I would, but I can't, so it's a 1.
It is so bad, I want to give you a 0, but that's not possible. So I give you a 1.
Really didn't like this book. Not much happened, if I'm being honest, until maybe the last 150 pages, if that, tops, honestly. Just not my favorite. I really tried so hard to like it, and it just was not interesting enough. I would not recommend this book. The next book I read is called The Words We Keep, which is by Aaron Stewart. This one is half a romance book, half mental health awareness book, and you guys, honestly, by the time I got to this book, I honestly didn't really want to read it anymore, because I was looking through it, and these whole texts were really throwing me off. I just don't really like when books or movies just incorporate text messages for their teens whenever they're writing. I don't know, it just feels kind of lazy to me. However, I was completely wrong about this book. I couldn't have been more wrong if I tried. This book was so amazing. I cannot stop talking about this book. I just love it so much. This book follows a junior in high school named Lily, who is having trouble sort of keeping her family together as well as herself and her mental health together after her sister Alice comes back from the psych ward. She suffers from anxiety, and she has a lot of negative thoughts coming into her head that causes her to question her will to live. So this one is definitely a darker topic, I would say, but it's still YA, I believe. So I don't know, I think it's the right amount of heavy while still maintaining some lighthearted parts. She meets a boy named Micah who's actually in the psych ward with her sister. The psych ward is called Fairview. He instantly recognizes her because Alice talks about Lily so much. They over time develop a friendship where he is trying to help her with everything that's going on in her life and in her head by trying to get her mind off of things. Of course, they end up falling in love, but this is just truly the best book I think I've read in a while. I give it 5 out of 5 stars, which is so hard for me to do, but this book was just incredible. There's absolutely no complaints I have about it. And I never do this to books, but I even highlighted things. That's how good this book was, because there were so many things that were being called back from, the beginning of the book. You could just truly see from the beginning of the book to the end the character development that Lily has made, and this book is just so incredible. I honestly cannot recommend it enough. I just love it so much. I never want to let go of it. I wish I could reread it for the first time again. The final book that I read recently is called Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, and this book was pretty big on BookTok. I actually found this one and The Inheritance Games as a recommendation from Haley Pham from her book reviews. So this book follows Liz Buxbaum, who is enamored with this guy her age named Michael, and who comes back into town after being away for a couple years, and she's trying to win him back as much as possible and trying to do things that he likes so that he'll in turn like her. By doing that, she asks for her annoying neighbor Wes Bennett for some help, even though they don't like each other and are known for being enemies and for not talking to each other. He decides to help her out. This book is just following their story of how they went from heavily disliking each other to essentially loving each other. I really like this book. It's a very cute romance book. I recommend it to anybody who wants something lighthearted, something fun. Liz's mom has also tragically passed. There are some mentions of this book. Also, Liz loves to make music playlists for everything that happens in her life, every emotion that she feels. Very much like most teenagers these days, I feel I do that too. So she's a very relatable character, both of them are. It's a very cute book, I really like it. This one is enemies to lovers, yet still romance, obviously. This is a really great book, I would recommend it. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you found at least one book that you might want to read in the future. Let me know below any types of books that you guys recommend for me or for anybody else who's watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye! Mwah.